In 2022 meeting of the Municipal Building Commission. We'll in a moment call the roll, but I think that we are going to go back to meeting at City Hall for our next meeting. And for all of you who are members of the School Building Committee, Jeremy's going to check with Mark Furtado, because we'll let you know if the next meeting of the School Building Committee in 2 weeks will be at the high school. So stay tuned on that. I also understand that Jay Allard may be in the audience. There he is. Yes, I can see the feed up there. So Jay has been nominated by the mayor to be a member of our commission, and he will be, I presume, interviewed by the municipal council and voted on. And so Jay, assuming you are confirmed by the council and get sworn in, maybe at our next meeting in April, you would be a seated member. We'll have to see, but we certainly look forward to getting our numbers up to full level. So because we're still doing this remotely, I need Jeremy to call the roll to establish that everybody's here.
All right, roll call. Terry.
Here.
Ed.
Here.
Jackie.
Here.
Gail.
Here.
Jerry.
Here.
Mike.
Here.
Andrew. And Jack.
Here, we are all here. So because we love taking roll call votes, the minutes from February 2nd were sent out to you. And does anybody have any comments or questions? Then Jackie, a motion's in order?
Move to approve. Jack, one little quick note. If I'm looking at this, it says at the bottom, next meeting 3/16.
316 is the next school committee, school
Yeah.
building committee.
Yeah, I noticed that after I sent that. Sorry about that, Terry. So before we post
That's
them
all right.
online,
It's not a big deal. I just, you know,
yeah. So before we post that online, I'll make sure it says 3-2.
okay.
Second, Terry.
Yes, yes, on the minutes. Second.
Okay, we missed you at the last meeting.
I had an electrician at my house that was doing work and I thought it'd be done sooner than he was, so.
Well, that's okay.
I couldn't really kick him out and he was drilling, so I couldn't.
Yeah, we
really.
made Gail pinch hit as the designated seconder.
Oh, thank
You're
you,
welcome,
Gail.
Terry.
So Jeremy, a roll call vote?
All right, minutes as amended. Terry.
Yes.
Ed.
Yes.
Jackie.
Yes.
Gail.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Andrew.
Yes.
And Jack.
Yes, passes unanimously. Let's go to the library project. I see Bob Barton is with us. Can you speak, Bob?
Well, in Bob's stead, he can add to this as he sees fit. I spoke with Evan Warner earlier today for an update. There's not a ton of an update to have. So he's not joining us tonight, but there's still some issues with the 3 rooms not maintaining proper temperature. As reminded, it's the children's room, the activity room, and the history room. The project teams on a near weekly basis working with the GC, the HVAC subcontractor and engineer, and the commissioning agent and the library staff to help resolve this. Some of the VRF ceiling units on the 4th floor in the children's room have cracked or have failing covers. And the manufacturer's rep is scheduled to visit the library either this week or next to assess the situation. But in any event, the unit covers will be replaced at a minimum. The heating unit in the entry has been replaced and is functioning correctly. And then the team is going to continue to work together to chase these remaining issues until they're resolved. But no additional invoices this month. You see the STV one from 213 that just came in slightly after our meeting last month, but no requisition or architect invoices this month.
Bob, are you with us now? I guess he's not going to be able to speak. So does anybody have any questions from Jeremy's update? Is Bob back?
Am I back? I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes. Now
Oh,
we can hear you.
God. Nothing more frustrating than trying to talk to a blank screen. Sorry, folks. No, Jeremy, thanks for the, I got that summary from Evan, and we will continue to pursue all parties to make sure that, all the units are working properly and that we replace the ones that failed for you. So
Okay.
not much to add to that than that. So.
Anybody have any questions for Bob?
Yeah, I have one. Did they get the heat going in those couple of rooms that were cold?
Yeah, so they're still trying to maintain proper temperature there. It still continues to be an issue. So they're working with the GC and the HVAC subcontractors on it. But no, it's still an issue, Jerry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then I guess if there's nothing further on this project, we can move on to the fire department roofs. And I can see that Arno is here and I can see that Mark is here. Mark, do you want to address this first?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. First off, I want to apologize for my inability to attend last month. I had every intention of doing so, but I was delayed by a late start to a flight out to California, and then massive headwinds delayed me. So I had a very late arrival time that was after the end of the meeting. So I tried, but the gods were anointed against me. So
Are you visiting your vineyards again?
my youngest son has moved out there and has started his career, and it's always good to keep in touch with him. So that's what I was doing. Anyway, so with regard to the roofs at the two fire stations, there has not been any progress at all since the end of December. And I know this sounds crazy, but the delivery of all the edge metal that was manufactured by Johns Mansville, I think in Colorado, was lost in transit across the country, and they had to remanufacture it. It is due in either tomorrow or Friday, and immediately upon arrival, the roofing contractor has promised us that they will immediately marshal forces and go out there and wrap up this project from a completion standpoint of their primary scope of work. During one of the heavy wind-driven rainstorms in the past month, we were notified and we troubleshooted a leak, not through the membrane roofing itself, but rather through a nail head at a metal extender that is on the side of the building that is below the roof membrane level. So it was that problem, that issue, it'll get caulked over, but once all the edge metal gets put in place, that will all then get covered, concealed, and hopefully we don't have that situation again for the next 25 years or more. I did visit the site. Obviously, I had correspondence with Jeremy and let him know that the city should add to their capital appropriations for future years the repointing of that building to eliminate voids, cracks, and cavities that exist within the existing mortar joints of the masonry. So I'm happy to entertain any questions, and I know Arno's here. One other comment is once the contractor has indicated that they are 100% complete, Arno and his team of consultants will go out there, do their final inspections, and then we will be waiting on the certifications from the roofing manufacturer for a completed project, all the O&Ms and the warranties.
Okay, any questions for Mark on what he's reported? Arno, do you have anything to add on this project?
No, we're just waiting for that metal to be installed and do our final inspection, and should be able to wrap it up.
Any questions for Arno? So that, talking about repointing raises a question, Jeremy. Where are we on our feasibility study RFP?
We are near complete on it. It is with Carol Brown in purchasing, who has had a number of things this month, but it is in the works. And we hope to have it done by the end of February. That obviously didn't happen, but we're close.
Okay, because I think that before the mayor and council get asked to spend more money on that building, I think they'd like to know a lot about what our feasibility study has to say. Totally
makes sense.
But thank you, Mark, for pointing that out. It's one of those things, I guess, where you stop the leak in one place and then it starts in another.
Yes, buildings require maintenance, and, yeah, so you're welcome. So did you want me to transition to the school gym floors?
I think that would be a great idea.
Okay, so I'm gonna seek to share the screen. So I would like to point out that we do have 95% drawings from Arno. I've reviewed them preliminarily, and I asked 16 questions, and Arno was rapid in his response, and we're going to find a way to yes on that. The document that I have on the screen right now is a invitation, or it's a draft for an invitation for bidders. So what we would like to do, and we seek approval of the MDC this evening, to go out to bid, to at first advertise in the Central Register and the Attleboro Sun. And we would like to put the advertisement in for tomorrow so that we can appear in the Central Register and local advertising for Wednesday, March 9th. If we're able to do that, then what we would do is have a pre-bid conference on Wednesday, March 16th at 10 a.m. at the site, subject to the approval of the school department and its liaisons, and then seek to have general bids for March 23. Obviously, this is a very accelerated timeline, but as you know, this project is designated a summer slammer. The work needs to be completed between the closing of school in June and the reopening of it prior to in late August. So understanding lead times, understanding procurement timelines, we felt as though expediting the advertising, pre-bid conference and general bid timeline was in the city's best interest.
So Mark, I understand the need for speed. I understand the need to get contractors lined up before they line up other work, because we might not get a good contractor and we might not get a good price the longer we wait. I think that's the reason for the speed, is it not?
Well, it's multifaceted, but it has more to do with enabling us to complete the project within the summer timeline. And yes, I do see a typo on the pre-bid conference. So Jackie, thank you for that eagle-eyed observation. This is not.
Yes,
this is
you're right. The pre-bid conference probably was not a year ago. So, and so I guess the other thing, though, I'm wondering is this too aggressive? Will we limit the number of bidders? Do you have an opinion on that, either you or Arno? Because I understand we don't want to lose a week, and I understand we don't want the bids in by too late. But on the other hand, our next meeting isn't until April 6th. We can hold a special meeting if we need to. But in order for us to make a recommendation to the mayor to enter a contract, will you have enough time if we push this back a week to get a better bidding climate? Or are you comfortable with the 23rd and then us making a determination and a recommendation on the 6th?
I understand. I'm happy to do it either way. This was the dates that we had previously discussed, and if we think that we'll be able to obtain more bids. But now this is just for the edification of the commission. This is not a typical general bid where there are both file sub bids and then a general bid. This is a single DCAM level approved bid list, or you have to be DCAM certified in a particular scope of work. So what we're looking for is a firm that has the capacity to do this flooring work and is certified by DCAM. So it's a single trade package, if you will. So that's why we thought that the 3 weeks between the advertisement and the bid would be adequate. But I'm happy to, accept the commission's, desire to defer it till the 30th, and I'd be fine with that.
Well,
And I think that
not
we
saying
do have enough time.
Not saying that I have a desire and the commission hasn't voted, but I guess I can see the possibility is we leave everything the way it is and you ask us to hold a special meeting on the 30th in order to make a recommendation. I could also see holding the schedule that's on the screen and we meet on April 6th. And I can also see getting the bids on the 30th and meeting on the 6th. So of those three possibilities, do you and Arno have a recommendation as to which of those three we should do?
Arno, would you like to chime in here?
Frankly, I think it would be beneficial to try to get this project awarded as quickly as possible. I'm not knowing what it takes to do a special meeting to approve.
All it takes is for Jeremy to post a notice. That's all it takes.
But I don't think we'll be I don't think we're jeopardizing losing, potential bidders for such a short time frame, because it's such a specialized application that you're going to have specific contractors that'll be working on this. So all the flooring contractors that do gymnasium flooring will be bidding on this project.
So are you saying then you're comfortable with the schedule that you have of the bids coming in on the 23rd, but us not meeting until our regular meeting on April 6th?
What I'm saying, if you're not going to meet until April 6th, then we could add another week to the bidding schedule. It would be a little bit more comfortable for the bidders for sure. But going in at the time frame of the actual bidding schedule, I don't think you're going to lose bidders.
But with that said, it would be advantageous to have a special meeting on the 30th to review the responses and then to make a recommendation for authorization to proceed, thereby picking up a week, which is critical at this time to begin the process of getting a vendor on board, beginning the submittal process, the contractual process, which on average takes 2 to 3 weeks, then getting submittals on board. We're going to run out of time very quickly. And if we could hold to the 23rd, have a special meeting on the 30th, and then present to the mayor, that would be advantageous.
If I can add that I agree with Mark, it's going to take us 2 weeks to navigate the back end stuff on our end. So if we can gain that week by starting on the 30th rather than the 6th, I think that's probably better for the project.
So what say you, commission members?
You're on mute.
You're muted, Jerry. You're muted. Okay.
Does it make any difference to go and put them out to bid separately?
It's one project.
It would cost more to go out to bid twice, 2 separate contract documents. We made a decision previously to do this as one project, one package, one vendor, one contractor, and I'd like to stay with that plan.
And you run the risk of getting 2 different contractors, 2 different flooring types. I think you want to maintain consistency.
And there might be some buying power associated with, 15,000 square feet of flooring rather than just 2 7,000 square foot orders from 2 different vendors.
Okay. Just asking the question.
Any other commission members have an opinion on keeping to the schedule, but us having a special meeting on the 30th? Does that seem like the best way to go? Because I think the point Jeremy made, which is that the wheels of government grind slowly.
I agree.
We navigate like an aircraft carrier sometimes.
So you agree, and okay. So I think then that the sense of the commission is to keep with the schedule that you have laid out, Mark, And we will schedule a special meeting on the 30th, hopefully at City Hall, to receive the bid results and to make a recommendation from for the mayor.
Thank you.
So then I know that there was a question, I believe Andrew had raised it, about the material that was going to be used and an issue with North Attleboro. Did we get Andrew an answer?
So.
yes,
the
we did.
information Yeah, the only information we had on the original floor, it was very similar to the one that exists now at the two elementary schools. And it contained mercury. I'm not aware of it having such a short lifespan. It might have, but and that floor was replaced with a wood floor and not with a synthetic floor. But the flooring that we're specifying for this project, it's, the technology has advanced so much more that I don't think you're running the risk of a failure of the flooring system that you would have had 30 years ago.
I'd also like to point out, and I'm going to share the screen, the draft specifications that have been prepared by CVI Socotech calls for the application. The resilient flooring is warranted against excessive wear under normal usage for a period of 10 years from the date, 30 days after the date of shipment. So what we're looking at is a minimum 10-year warranty on this Mondo flooring, which is the basis for design. So the Mondo flooring system was the one that was deemed in our best interest after a rigid evaluation criteria period. They are very well respected across the country with no incidences that I know of premature failure, and the 10-year warranty, which I think were the issues and questions that Mr. Acosta had raised.
And Andrew, did we answer your questions?
Yeah, that was my main concern, was that we were getting the life expectancy out of these replacement floors. I know it's not going to be long-term, but then again, we're also looking at replacing the buildings themselves. So if 10 years is adequate and in line with what we're expecting for the building, then that's fine.
So I have a question, Mark, based on what you put on the screen, which is, why does the warranty start 30 days after the manufacturer ships it rather than upon installation and certification of the installation by the manufacturer?
It's a good question, and one that was part of my questioning to the architect to see whether or not we could get so I have two-part questions for the architect and for the spec writer, which is A, does Mondo offer a longer duration of 15 or perhaps even 20 years on the product? And if so, are there any premiums associated with requesting the longer duration? And two, why isn't it that we can't get a certification or a letter of start a warranty upon successful completion of the installation and sign off, as opposed to 30 days after? That was standard manufacturer's literature request, and we're trying to push back on them to get a longer duration and upon completion.
Yeah, there's certain manufacturers just have standard language that they just adhere to. But let me do a little bit more inquiry and see if there is opportunity to get a longer term warranty. Short of being, there being a premium cost to it.
Well, if there's a small enough premium cost,
it would be worth it. Probably,
it would be worth it. It always, small enough is one of those wonderful terms that means something to me and something else to you. But we'd certainly like that information, and if you can get that, Jeremy could share it with us by email so that we could at least know what we're looking at. And then, do you think there's any possibility of changing that language to being, upon installation rather than shipment?
Yeah, I think that can be updated, and I'm sure there'd be no issue with them accepting those terms.
Good.
The
good.
typical date is the date, warranty commencement is upon the date of substantial completion more times than not.
That's usually the case, yes. So thank you. Are there any other issues with regard to this installation and bid?
No other issues. I just wanted to point out that the scope of the work is the confines of the 100 and what's the dimension of it? I keep forgetting. 104 by 72 gym itself. This new flooring is not extending into the gym storage area, nor is it extending into locker rooms for the gym office or beyond the 7,488 square feet of the gym itself, where this poured in place urethane membrane is.
And do we have, I'm sure we do, but I always like to ask obvious questions. Do we have a specification section on the health matters that we need to take into account when we remove the old floor?
Yes, we do. So Arno can talk about the hazmat report and the spec sections and the third-party testing that's all going to be part of this.
That's right. So we did additional testing, and indeed does contain mercury, as everyone knows. Our special disposal, that specification will be in the documents covering the handling of that material, as well as the protection of the remainder of the school. And also we've included some repairs to the concrete floor. We've carried some unit pricing and unit price work to patch cracks, deal with any delaminated concrete, as well as doing some underlayment leveling of the floor. So we've carried some quantities in the base bid to accommodate some prep work before the new flooring goes down.
Okay, so this is to make sure that the surface that we're pouring the new floor on is up to par. Is that correct?
That's right. It needs to be, flat and level prior to them placing the floor. So we've carried that. We've made some assumptions on repairing the concrete.
Are we going to have an industrial hygienist do any testing?
That will be in the specification, yes.
And will that be something a contractor will provide, or will that be a separate contract that we would have either through you, Arno, or separately with through the city?
That will be through the contractor.
Okay. And you're comfortable with that, Mark?
We hadn't previously discussed who the contract holder would be for the CIH, but given that through my services, I'm going to be making daily visits to the site. I'm comfortable that the CIH once he's advised that he needs to be able to report and communicate to me and the architect, even though he works for the contractor, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Are there any other questions or issues from commission members? Hearing none.
Wait, I'm sorry, one, Jack.
Oh, go ahead, Gail.
I'm not sure if this was covered before, but what is the age of the flooring in the schools that it might contain mercury?
It was 1975 when those schools opened, Gail.
Okay.
And my understanding is that this particular material, they stopped manufacturing it in 1980 when they figured out that when it starts to deteriorate, it gives off mercury. I found that out by the most famous research engine in the world called Google. But if you Google it, you can find several articles that appear to be well written. Of course, you believe everything you read on the internet, but there were articles that appeared to be appropriately documented and researched that indicated this. And what I saw was that by 1980, this manufacturer had stopped making this particular floor.
Okay, thank you.
And the mercury is mercury vapor, so it's just an airborne thing. And we have testing that was done at 2 different times that confirms that through the operation of the ventilation system, the levels of mercury vapor currently and over the past several years has been lower than the maximum thresholds allowed. So it's the environment, we need to take care of it. Schools are aware of it, and we're mitigating, they've employed mitigation strategies to not create a hazardous situation.
Okay, are we finished with this project for the evening? I guess so.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on the 30th.
Jeremy, can you ensure that on the bid date that we can open at City Hall
Yes, we definitely can, but I will keep you in the loop on that.
or reserve the area? So thank you kindly.
Certainly.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
And
Jeremy, I'm sorry, one second. Jeremy, I'll get the wage rates as well, so.
Okay, thank you.
and we'll transmit to Carol Brown the information so that she can advertise in the local newspaper in that language. It was in one of the documents that I showed this evening.
Yeah, I can resend that right now. So.
Thank you both.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Next on our list is the Attleboro Pawtucket Water Interconnect. And Jeremy and I had a Zoom with Courtney today, and so Jeremy's going to update.
Yeah, so we have partial DEP approval for the construction of this pump station. We're waiting on final DEP approval, so it's gone through the first hurdle and it's moved up. CDM Smith is looking for additional compensation on their contract for various items. So we're meeting, Courtney and I are meeting with the city solicitor on Tuesday about the applicability or about the whether we want to pay for these individual things or not, and how right it is to or not. We have a current construction budget of 1.199 million, but this was set during the bond or shortly after the bond authorization, which was in November of 2016. So I have some concerns over escalation. We've got about $500,000 in, not quite $500,000, over 400,000 in a contingency line item, but I'm still not quite sure what our bids are going to end up looking like. So as we kind of get a little bit closer, we'll have to have some discussions with CDM Smith on how healthy that budget is. We're hopeful for a summer construction, we're hopeful for construction operation in calendar year 22, and then work with DEP on water quality and all that sort of thing that we need to do to tie in a separate state's water into ours for an emergency interconnection. So as everyone here knows, this project is woefully behind schedule. Bond authorization in 2016, and here we are in 2022 talking about it. But I think we have some concrete steps forward, and we have it's been escalated within CDM's kind of hierarchy that we've got a senior vice president working on it now as our liaison. So that's been helpful.
And we specifically asked Courtney, is there a reason why we shouldn't put this out to bid now? And she just said that it was not wise because if the approval didn't come through or it came through with conditions that were unacceptable, we wouldn't want to have spent the money to put it out to bid. And so I fully understand that. Part of the reason for that would be that the water quality standards in Rhode Island and Massachusetts don't match up. And I'm not saying one state's better than the other. I'm just saying that they don't exactly match up. And so that's part of what DEP is looking at, is our understanding. And so therefore, this project is still on hold until the state approves it. And then we will hopefully be able to put it out to bid and get it under construction. Any questions on that project? Jackie?
No, it's just
okay.
so long.
I just saw your screen light up, so.
No, just choking on the delays.
Yes, all of us. Courtney prime among us. So then, just as a preview, our next meeting of this body will be the 30th at City Hall, and then April 6th at City Hall. And just so you can mark your calendars, I'm going to look here and see that it looks like May 4th would be a meeting after that. So,
So Jack, I did have a couple of questions about the Attleboro Pawtucket interchange here.
interconnection,
Yes, sir.
go right ahead.
So I think my question is probably more for Jeremy. I mean, does this, I mean, they've been dealing with this since I've been here, and I've been here for 4 years now. And I know it's been longer than that. Is the agreement still in full effect with Pawtucket about allowing this?
Yeah, it's something like a 25-year agreement. So I have it in my office. I forget the specific terms right now. But yeah, we are well covered, or covered well into the future.
And I think my final question is, I mean, was the contract rate increased every year? So now I'm just saying, let's just say it was $1 a cubic foot when we first thought about getting into this, and now Pawtucket is potentially $1.50 a cubic foot. I mean, how does that scale work? I can't imagine it's the same exact price that we talked with them about at least 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, there is some sort of escalation, and I'm not sure if it's pegged to their water rate, or if it's some sort of yearly thing. But I will get that agreement circulated to the group. I know the details are there. I just don't know them off the top of my head.
Right. The other thing to remember, Mike, is that we hope we never have to use this other than exercising it once a year to make sure it still works, because this is a redundancy project. And so if our main water plant went down, if something happened to one of the water towers, if there was a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, we would then be able to keep the city supplied with water. So this is one of those things that, you know, it's belt and suspenders in one sense, but it's really important to keep the 46,000 people in this city with water if a disaster occurred, while we were trying to then repair whatever that disaster was. So hopefully we will pay them only a few dollars each year for whatever water we use to make sure the pump still works.
And just for the committee's edification as well. So not only that, but in times of severe drought, Pawtucket's actually in a different watershed than we are. So where their water comes from is slightly different from where ours comes from. So it has that kind of redundancy as well.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that the city would decide to open this thing just so people could water their lawns. I think it would have to be something that really was catastrophic before we would want to be using this.
Absolutely.
So
do we answer your question, Mike?
You both did. Thank you. I just want to make sure that, you know, the costs aren't escalating to a point where it doesn't make financial sense. I know there's only so much water on Attleboro that we can tap into. So as Jack alluded to, I know it's going to be used for emergency uses, but just want to make sure that cost isn't escalating to the point where we should be, you know, reconsidering the project. It's been going on for a long time. That's kind of not the standard process for something like this. That's all.
Yeah, no, this is, Courtney reaffirmed it today. This is a disaster mitigation issue.
Yeah, Mike, I was working for a bond rating agency living in New York City when this project started. So yes, it seems like a long time ago for me as well. It had been going on a while by the time I started on it, and I've been working on it for almost 2 years myself. So totally agree.
So then, Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, what kind of apparatus is put in place to assure that the valves, the necessary operation is completed once a year?
Well, that's
I recall
Courtney and the water department would have a regular program of inspecting it and operating it for a day or two just to make sure that it operates. And she told us that.
So that would be part of her.
That'd be part of the water department's standard operating procedure.
Yes.
I remember a project we had with the water department, and very expensive valve hadn't been turned in 20 years, even though it should have been. And we had to replace it. So I just wanted to make sure that there was some assurance that that would be exercised every year.
Yeah, so the building will be part of the water department's daily rounds, and then at a very minimum, it will be used once a year for at least a flushing project or
Mhm.
something else. So yes, it will be exercised at least once a year.
Okay.
You're right. If you wait 20 years, the likelihood is it won't work.
It's easy to have happen. I mean,
Yeah. Any other questions on that? So then just two other matters that I wanted to raise. One is we earlier talked about getting out the public safety feasibility study out to bid. So hopefully in another, maybe sometime in April, we'll be spending some time reviewing the bids on that and shortlisting and choosing an interview process. The mayor has also sent down to the council, and it's in committee now, a feasibility study for the Council on Aging building. And so if that comes out of the council, we also will be doing that same process of soliciting responses and shortlisting, interviewing, and choosing someone to do that feasibility study. I hope that it passes. We'll find out more when the committee meets next week and the full council meets in 2 weeks. So that's the preview. Anybody have any other questions or comments? Then we will let you know whether we are live at Attleboro High School in 2 weeks. We certainly will see you all at City Hall in 4 weeks. Oh, we didn't pay the bills. So we got, Jeremy, we got 2 bills for Port and 1 for STV DPM. Are those all in order to pay?
Yes, they are. And as I said, the STV is just, it lagged a month from their January work.
Jackie?
Move to approve all 3 of the bills.
Second,
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Jeremy, call the roll, please.
Terry,
yes.
Ed,
here, yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes, passes unanimously. And then we need a motion to adjourn at 6:15.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
Terry,
yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.